Does your dog know the 5 basics every dog should know? There are many fun tricks you can teach your dog, like rolling over or playing dead, but it's essential to focus on the basics first. The first basic every dog should know is to come when called. Begin teaching your dog this trick by standing a few feet from your dog and showing them a reward as you say come. Gradually increase the distance and slowly phase out the reward as your dog starts associating come with moving towards you. Always use a happy and inviting tone. Start teaching the come command indoors. As your dog gets better, practice outside. When you first try it outside, use a long leash, and then only when your dog understands what is required of them to do. Allow them to try it without a leash in a safe environment. When trying it outside without a leash for the first time, try it in a place where there are little distractions, like in an open field, and then progress to places where it will be harder for your dog to focus, like a dog park. Remember to keep it fun when using the come command. You should never punish your dog when they come to you after they followed your command. This will only make them associate the come command with punishment and discourage them from ever doing it again. You should avoid repeating the come command too many times. Repeating the command multiple times when the puppy or dog isn't responding teaches them that there are no repercussions for not following your rules. You are only allowed to repeat the command twice before you force your puppy to follow you. Say it once. If the dog doesn't listen, say it using a firmer voice. And if the dog still refuses to follow, enforce the command. The next command is to teach your dog to sit. There are 2 ways you can teach them this command. First, you can wait for them to sit, and when they do, say sit. And when you say sit, give them a reward. Your dog will easily recognize the position and associate it with the word sit. Remember that some dogs are really quick, and you need to reward as soon as they do the command. You can't be slow and reward once they have already gotten up, as they will associate the word with the wrong position. If you don't have the patience to wait for your dog to sit, you can use a treat to make them sit. First, put the treat right in front of their nose, and then slowly lift the food above their head. Dogs will most likely sit as they lift their head to continue looking or nibbling on the treat. Once they sit, say sit, and give them the treat. Next, use your empty hand in the same motion to get them to sit. Dogs respond best to exaggerated motions, so keep your motions big, especially in the beginning. Remember to never physically force your dog into the sitting position, as this can be confusing to them. The next basic command to teach your dog is to teach them to lay down. Similarly to sit, you can wait for your dog to lay down and then say down and reward the positive behavior. You can also lure your dog to lay down from the sitting position. When the dog is sitting, take your treat and lower it to the floor or grass. Sometimes you have to lower the treat slowly so the dog has time to follow. Strong-smelling or stinky treats work best in this scenario, as dogs have a strong sense of smell. The next command is easier to teach your dog when they already know the sit and come command. This next command is loose leash walking. In competition obedience training, this is called heel. This means that a dog is walking on your left side with their head even with your knee, or thigh, or ankle, depending on the height of your dog, while you hold the leash loosely. Some people do choose to have the dog walk on the right side, and that is up to you. Just remember to be consistent where you want them during training, so they don't have to zigzag in front of you. While you might think it's easy to pull your puppy on a leash when they are 8 months old, remember that they will grow, and it might get harder to control them. Also, you don't want to always be struggling and pulling your dog. Walking your dog should be a positive experience for both of you. The first step to teaching your dog to walk on a leash is to get a proper leash. Do not use the retractable leashes. Freedom, when the dog has not yet earned it, is not advisable in training. A retractable leash is the first thing trainers will usually make you get rid of. A leash that is 5 feet is more than long enough. Get your dog comfortable with wearing the leash before you try to walk them. If they already know the sit command, have them sit next to you with the leash on. Next, take a step forward and give them a treat for following you. If the dog starts to go in front of you, turn in the opposite direction and call them to you. When they follow, reward them. Slowly lower the number of treats given to your dog. At first, you might have to do it every step. Then go to every 6th step and progress from there. While proper leash walking should be practiced every day, remember that dogs need time to sniff and smell the roses. Allow them to explore with their nose. But when you are ready to continue your walk, let them know with a heel command that it's time to go and walk next to you. Heel training can be used to prevent other bad behaviors. If your dog jumps on people when they first enter a house, use a leash to prevent them from jumping, as they learn that this behavior is not acceptable. A dog can't jump on your guest if they are on a leash. While it might feel weird to have a dog in the house on a leash, this is temporary and only for training purposes. Similarly, a leash in the house can be used as a way to prevent a dog from jumping on counters. The next and final command is arguably the most important to teach your dog. This command is stay. If there is ever an incident where your dog is roaming around free and you are worried that he might get into a traffic lane, having them adhere to this command before they run into the road while you gather your leash is crucial. You can also use this command if your dog has gotten into food they should not be eating. And while you get to them, tell them to stay and not inhale any of the remaining food. For my curious little dog, the stay command was by far the hardest one to learn. Staying in place is a duration behavior. The goal is to teach your dog to remain sitting until the release cue is given. To teach the release cue, sit with your puppy at your side and say free as you throw the treat far from you. Your dog will begin to associate the movement of getting the treat with your release cue word like free. Now that they know the release, put them in sit, turn to face them, and give them a treat. Now pause if they are still sitting, give them a treat, and then release them. Gradually increase the time. Once your dog can sit for several seconds, begin by adding distance. Practice this command under different circumstances, like walking, facing them, and walking away with your back turned. Dogs don't generalize well, so it is important to change the time and location of the training. It's very common for dogs to not be able to extrapolate their training to unfamiliar environments. New environments can be very distracting. When my dog was a puppy, he knew the stay command. But once we tried it outside around other dogs and other people who were moving, it was a lot harder to get him to stay. Practice is key. This command does require both you and your dog to learn patience and for your dog to learn impulse control. Impulse control is key in training. There are common mistakes to avoid when teaching the basic commands. Mistake 1 is using treats that are too big. Remember that your dog will be receiving a lot of treats while training, so keep them small. Obesity is a cause of a lot of health issues in dogs. Mistake number 2 is training sessions that are too long. Do not have your training session go more than 10 minutes at the beginning. Train 10 minutes each day instead of an hour on the weekend. Remember to also play with your dog, because that will increase your bond and increase your communication. When they have fun with you, they are more likely to listen to you. Mistake number 3 is building expectations of how fast your dog will learn a command based on learning other items. Your dog might have an easier time with some commands than others. Be patient. Mistake number 4 is forgetting that training needs to be repeated. Just because the dog remembers sit today doesn't mean they will remember the command tomorrow. Remember that training is repetition. If you are struggling with any of the basic commands, check our other videos that are more in-depth in detailing on how to get your dog to follow these commands. And did we hit all the essential dog basics, or did we miss any? Do you have any helpful hints?